I've been working full time as a software engineer in the industry for over 5 years now, and without a doubt, this past year has been the craziest year of my career so far. And that is entirely because of the explosion of LLMs that are capable of writing code. But don't worry, this video isn't some kind of debate about the existence of software engineers in the future as a role. I can make that video if you want to, but I feel like it's been done quite a lot. Instead, this is a video about adapting and utilising an advantage you can pick up that others don't have. And as an engineer who had become somewhat stuck in his way, I decided to get out of my comfort zone. I wanted to learn new tools and enable myself to develop apps using AI. And so my challenge was born. I was going to use Cursor as my IDE, try and generate as much code as possible using AI, and launch an app within 4 weeks. I'm going to deal with my idea, my approach, my considerations, what went well, what didn't, and would I use Cursor again? So with the idea, I didn't want to have to do a ton of research into a problem that I'd never faced before. We're trying to launch this thing in a month. It needs to be something I would use. So I decided to make a product that myself or my friends would love to use. After all, you've got to solve your own problems. And for me, I absolutely love watching sports of all kinds. I've had some amazing memories doing so. And I think if you're in a new city or country for the first time, then it's a fantastic way to understand local culture and meet local people. Sports culture is a really interesting microcosm of a city as a whole. I myself am a big rugby fan, and myself and my dad went and watched our team, Scotland, play against France recently in Paris. We had an absolutely unforgettable experience. Other cool memories for me are watching ice hockey over in the Czech Republic, watching baseball and basketball in America, and of course watching the English Premier League down south. Honestly, it's something I recommend everyone tries on holiday, even if you're not that into sport. That being said, it's super tricky to work out where to go and what to do. Ideally, you want a good atmosphere, friendly fans, in a central location. So, let me introduce you to Stadia Rank. This is a platform where you can review sporting experiences across the world. I'll talk a little bit about my approach to this project. Because I'm mainly using AI, I had a number of important considerations to make. In an ordinary project, I wouldn't mind using a stack that's maybe a bit more niche or something that's closer to the bleeding edge of technology. However, in this situation, this approach is not optimal. Because we're primarily using AI to code and problem solve, we need to take account of what AI knows best. And for that, we need to understand how LLMs like ChatGPT work. And because I don't have a PhD in machine learning, I'm not going to tell you how the whole thing works. But the easiest way to think about it is that these tools scrape tons and tons and tons of information together from the internet. Imagine if a human being just read the entirety of Wikipedia and remembered it, for example. And therefore, the more data points it has on a topic, the better it understands it. The more well-known a tool, the better knowledge AI has. And as a result of that, I decided to use Next.js. Next.js is probably the most popular way to build a full-stack JavaScript or TypeScript application at the moment. And the tech specifically is a good idea because it is full-stack out of the box. That means I don't have to worry about running two separate services. Additionally, it's server-side by default, which means that SEO is improved. And as this is essentially a consumer directory and reviews platform, SEO is pretty important, otherwise people won't find it. And in a similar vein, I wanted to easily implement other parts of the backend like an authentication system and databases. This decision was pretty easy. I use a tool that I use a lot, and that's Supabase. I've been using that for a long time now. I think Supabase is one of those things you can never really go wrong with choosing it. It gives you authentication out of the box. The Postgres databases are really nicely visualized. It essentially lets you edit tables as if they were an Excel spreadsheet, which if you're quite new to the back-end side of things is really helpful. These days I mainly actually edit it using SQL, but if you don't know SQL, it's a really good way of getting around it. Supabase also has a ridiculously generous free tier, so at the moment I don't have to worry about running up against any costs. The vast majority of people accessing are going to be doing that in account, so I don't have to worry about running up against authentication limits or similar. I'm also using Supabase storage for images uploaded in reviews. I might potentially migrate that either to Amazon S3 or Upload thing at some point in the future, but for now Supabase is doing a fantastic job there. And obviously we have all of this, but how are people going to access it? I can't send them to my local host. And for this application, I wanted all the benefits of cloud hosting. I wanted that scalability, the reliability, and the speed. However, I'm someone who doesn't have any kind of real DevOps background, so this is quite tricky for me to implement well. And that's where the sponsor of this video comes in, and that is Cloudzilla. Cloudzilla allowed me to deploy this Next.js app in just a few minutes. It allows you to fully optimize for cost, resource scaling, cost limitation, everything like that. It's like having a DevOps expert as your co-founder. Let me show you the process of setting up a Next.js app on Cloudzilla. Okay, so let's run through the process. You can see here you can import or start with a template. So you've got a few options if you're going to start with a template: Next.js, Create React App, and Node.js. But we're going to select Next.js because this is what we used. I need to quickly log in as well. So that's going to create a repo over on GitHub for us. And now we pick our deployment region. So logically for me, because I'm in the UK, I'm going to select Europe. You can see all the different areas that you can select here. So let's click into Europe. And I can see where all the locations are, add this region, and then deploy. Cloudzilla gives you an incredibly generous 750 free hours to learn how to leverage the super cloud. The pro tier pricing is also great value. It's $5 per month plus your cloud usage. You can try it today at cloudzilla.ai or through the link in my description. So what do I take from all of this? Well, first things first, within an afternoon of using Cursor, I decided to go and buy the Pro version. I quickly realised how much time I've been spending jumping between different browser tabs. My flow would typically be, I run into something confusing, then I would copy and paste the relevant code, sometimes anonymise it because I'm a bit paranoid, put it into something like ChatGPT. I'd attempt to give it as much context as possible. And actually, cumulatively, this must have been costing me hours and hours. Cursor offers mostly sensible autocompletes. It allows you to select how much context you want when you're chatting with your codebase, and the shortcuts are really handy, so once you learn them, you're absolutely flying. So within a few days, I'd gotten rid of my OpenAI subscription entirely, and I decided to switch to T3 Chat. T3 Chat is actually created by fellow YouTuber Theo. He makes really good content, and this product is actually really good. I find myself using AI for a lot of miscellaneous tasks, and T3 Chat is really good because it allows you to try different models. And if it's something unrelated to coding, like me trying to work out my household finances or planning an itinerary for a holiday, then it's a slightly different situation, and obviously I can't use Cursor for that. And without a doubt, Cursor has sped me up. If you want to put a number on it, I'd say it's somewhere between 2 and 3 times quicker than I used to be. And as I often say here on my channel, it's really important to remember that time is your most valuable resource, especially as someone who has a full-time job and working on things outside. Realistically, even as someone who doesn't have any life dependents like kids, I only get 1 to 2 hours a day to work on my side projects. And as such, maximising that time spent is by far the most important factor. Cursor speeds me up by scaffolding the basic components, the stuff I already know how to do, auto-completing obvious code, and preventing me from juggling the tabs as I mentioned earlier. In short, the investment was worth it. With the good though, must always come the bad. Simply put, I can see why a lot of Vibe coders have landed themselves in some trouble. Because you can't just rely on what Cursor tells you. I feel like this should be obvious, but apparently it's not. Next.js has a number of quite specific rules on how you have to do things, and Cursor often just didn't follow them or take them into account. It did other things like making up table and column names in Supabase that didn't exist. That would have been confusing if I didn't know how Supabase worked. And it failed to generate useful assets like SVGs. Also, maybe I was just unlucky here, and it was fixable after I prompted it to do so. It didn't make anything mobile responsive by default, which, as I said, I've been a developer for over 5 years. The entire time I've been in the industry, that has been the standard. You have to make everything mobile responsive by default, especially for a consumer app. If I didn't know about the tools used, React or TypeScript in general, or how to read documentation, I think I would have really struggled here. And sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but if I want to be a developer now, I'd still learn to code the old-fashioned way. That being said, you probably can speed yourself up quite a lot by using AI as a code tutor. However, you have to be disciplined with it. Stadia Rank is completely open now if you want to check it out and leave some reviews of your favourite sports days. Obviously, it's completely free. I'm going to continue development of the platform going forward, and I'm looking at monetizing it long term by affiliate deals through like travel providers, etc. And if you want to keep up with this and my other projects, you can follow me on here, X, and TikTok. Happy coding, everyone.